All right. So we're gonna start off with the first question. At what age did you begin your career in education?
So as soon as I graduated from college, I got my first teaching position in Perry Local Schools in Massillon. So I was 22 years old at that time.
Very young for a teacher.
I also, I took a lot of summer courses to try to get done earlier. So I finished my degree actually in 3.5 years. And moved back home with my parents, and I substitute taught for a semester, which was an experience. Certainly a time to learn what you do want to do in your own classroom and maybe what you don't want to do in your own classroom as a substitute. So, but yes, I was 22.
Very young, but
Yeah.
it must have been a lot of experience building up to what you do now. What college or colleges did you attend before?
So I attended, after I graduated high school, I attended Ashland University for my bachelor's in elementary education. So at that time, the certification was for grades 1 through 8. So that's the certification I received. I also got my reading endorsement because I was ahead of schedule in terms of graduation, and that was a good endorsement to add to my license to make me a more marketable candidate for teaching positions, and so that's what I did. But that's where I got my degree. I actually went back to Ashland in 2008 and got my master's degree in administration, and then went to Ashland again in 2018 to obtain my superintendent's license as well. So
must be a good school.
It sure is. And my daughter is there actually now as an education major. So
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Why would you encourage someone to take this position?
For a lot of reasons. The director of curriculum role isn't necessarily a role that everyone has a passion for, because curriculum, there's a lot of layers to understanding curriculum and teaching practices. But it also offers a unique opportunity to shape the educational experience of a district full of students, which is an amazing responsibility, but it's also very rewarding, and you have a unique opportunity to create a lasting impact on the student experience and what classes they take, what and how they learn, and working with the teachers directly to help them improve their teaching strategies is also very rewarding. Not something necessarily that everyone has a passion for, but quite honestly, I didn't know I had a passion for it until I served in a building principal role and did a lot of classroom observations and evaluations. And but it's also a position where you have to stay current on all of the most recent research and instructional strategies. So, but it's, like I said, very rewarding because you have an impact on what education looks like for every student in the district. So.
All right. Can you tell me 3 skills that are required for this position?
I mentioned before, you really have to have a passion for curriculum and data analysis. There's a lot of data that has to be reviewed to look for gaps in learning, to help inform what professional development we provide for teachers, or what courses we need to add at the high school level, for example, or even at the middle school. In addition, there needs to be a level of leadership and collaboration, working with a lot of different personalities in a collaborative way, and to really try to develop understanding and a level of consensus in terms of our direction and our vision, which can be challenging to navigate, different personalities at times. But,
yes.
So collaboration is very important as well.
Yes. Like I said, I want to be a teacher, and that's like, we work on our philosophy of education, and yeah, it's like the whole theme of mine. It's very important.
Yes.
I see the importance of that.
Yes, for sure.
What guided you or made you consider this as a career?
Interestingly enough, I wouldn't have seen myself here when I started at 22 years old. I thought I was going to teach for 35 years and retire as a classroom teacher, but I worked in various grade levels at the elementary level, and I had an elementary principal who saw something in me that I didn't necessarily see it in myself at that time, and encouraged me to go into leadership, and thus I got my principal's license and became a building principal. Through that, as I mentioned before, I developed a passion for curriculum that I didn't necessarily know I had either. So I feel like it just kind of happened organically for me. It was just a natural. And I also never would have seen myself obtaining my superintendent's license, but I did that as well. And I do aspire to be a superintendent of a school district at some point as well. So I've just I was one of those that was teaching my stuffed animals in my basement when I was a kid. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, and I thought that was what I was going to do for 35 years. But life has just kind of led me, based on the people that have come into my life, it's led me in a little bit of a different direction than I thought I would go. But it's been a great journey for sure.
What is your educational background?
I mentioned before, I received my bachelor's degree in elementary education. The certifications have changed a lot over the years, but at that time it was grades 1 through 8. So I obtained my bachelor's degree in elementary education, then went back, as I mentioned, to get my administrative license. And so I got my master's degree and then got my superintendent's license as well. Additionally, even outside of obtaining appropriate licensures and degrees, I continue to attend regular professional development opportunities, member of professional organizations, just to stay current on all of the most recent research. So, but yeah, that's my background.
Very impactful. Must be very useful too, I imagine.
Yes, for sure.
What is a normal day for you in this position?
I don't know that there's necessarily a normal day, because you just kind of never know what's going to come at you. But generally, I'll arrive at the office, typically check and respond to emails, meet with our fellow directors, our director of technology, our director of student services, our chief operations officer, and our superintendent, just as a quick touch base. Then I'm, for the most part, out in the buildings working with teachers, facilitating meetings. I chair just about every committee in the district. So generally I have to facilitate committee conversations or order resources, because in my role as director of curriculum, I have to make sure every teacher has the resources they need. So if I need to purchase workbooks, or I need to purchase any kind of classroom level resources for instruction, then I'll do that as well. But every day is a little different, which is a good thing too. Keep things interesting. And then inevitably there's something that comes up, whether that's, for example, this morning there was an issue with the elementary report card that I needed to go in and fix, and so things like that will come up, and a teacher at the middle school lost access to one of our online resources. So things like that, just kind of problem solving and troubleshooting, will happen as well. So.
Okay. So you said you do a lot of stuff, a lot of important things, a lot of interesting things. What's the most challenging aspect of your job?
I think the most challenging is probably balancing the diverse needs of the staff and the students. We have to work very collaboratively to make sure that we're meeting not only the students where they are, and making sure that our teachers are equipped to meet students where they are and meet their needs, but I also feel a responsibility to meet teachers where they are too. So some teachers are ready for certain instructional strategies. Some need help in getting there and improving their craft, as I call it. But it's an endless, we strive endlessly for growth, and we never fully arrive. We have to continue to develop our craft. I tell our teachers that all the time, that we just can, and the more we know, the more research we have. When we know better, we do better, and we continue to grow. So I think that's probably the biggest, is it's really ever changing. Our students are ever changing, the world is ever changing, and preparing our students for a very different world than even we graduated into. That's a huge responsibility. So I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges, is just staying current and making sure we're meeting kids where they are, meeting our students where they are, and preparing them appropriately for the world that's so different and challenging in and of itself, right? So, yeah.
All right. Would you like to take a pause and answer?
No,
that? Are you
that's
okay?
That's
All
right.
On the flip side of that, what is the most rewarding part of this job?
And I know I mentioned this before, but most definitely the positive impact. This position provides a unique responsibility, but a very rewarding opportunity to have an impact on what and how students learn, whether that's adding courses at the high school. We added quite a few courses at the high school level that I'm really super proud of. Adulting is one of them, just getting kids ready for the real world. And then we've added some additional gifted opportunities at the elementary and the middle school. There's just a lot, and there are a lot of great examples of that, but I think that's the most rewarding, is seeing our kids benefit from the experiences that we're able to give them and appropriately prepare them for real world. So, yeah.
All right. That's worded up.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
When did you decide to go into this career?
As I mentioned, I thought I would teach for 35 years and retire from the classroom, but life steered me in a different direction. But serving as a building principal for 13 years, like I said, I developed a passion for curriculum, what and how students learn, and working with teachers to help them grow and improve their craft really became a strong passion of mine. So that has kind of led me here to the director of curriculum role. And like I said, I ultimately aspire to the superintendency, which some people will say is crazy, but there's also with that position, there's a unique opportunity as well to just shape what the student experience and the staff experience looks like. And we have an amazing community as well. The community partnerships are fantastic too. And so I think that's kind of what led me to leadership for sure.
What have you done in your past to prepare you for this career?
Well, I was teaching my stuffed animals in my basement when I was
most important
right.
piece, like,
yes, when I was 8, 9, and 10 years old.
Like, I hope that's on your resume. That's so good.
Right? Oh my goodness. So I started my career as a Title I teacher. So that gave me great experience just in terms of learning how students learn to read, how kids learn to read, and the importance of strong reading instruction and intervention. I then had experience teaching various grade levels at the elementary level, 1st, 3rd, and 4th grade. I then transitioned to an elementary principal role. So my world was really elementary for the first 15 years of my career or so, actually even longer than that. So stepping into this role, I really had to go outside my comfort zone and learn even more about middle school and high school. And I mean, good teaching is good teaching. So helping teachers to improve their craft doesn't necessarily look a lot different at the elementary versus the middle school or the high school. But the student needs are different. The content that we're responsible for teaching is different. So I think that I was kind of a sponge my first few years in this role, just trying to understand as much as I could about how middle school and high school students learn, what they need, understanding the content standards. But all of that has helped to shape kind of the leader that I am today in terms of helping our students and our staff, for sure.
All right. What benefits come with this career, such as medical, paid time off, retirement?
So in this position, the leadership position is a little bit different than a teacher position, because it's a year-round contract. Teachers work 185 days. Stepping into this, and building principals are usually around 215 days. Stepping into this role, it's a year-round position with 4 weeks of vacation available, as well as personal leave, which is 3 days. The teachers get the same, so 3 days of personal leave, and then obviously there's sick time that, as the longer you're in a district, you earn sick time, so you can take paid sick time. But the benefits, the medical benefits are amazing. Obviously that's taken directly out of paycheck, but especially for a family, the medical benefits we're pretty blessed to have the medical benefits that we have, because not every career or position has those. But so yeah, we have great benefits, and like I said, the 3 days of personal time, and those can be used for anything like college visits for your own child. They can be used for moving and signing on a new home, and those kinds of things, that just life events. And then, like I said, in this role, I get 4 weeks vacation, but I generally, because summer is such a busy time for me, even though it's technically the off season, so to speak, I don't generally take those. I kind of spread my vacation time off throughout the year. So.
All right. How much can someone expect to make starting out in this position?
That varies depending on the district and the size of the district. Also, the title of the position can vary based on the district as well. For example, a larger district to the north of us doesn't have a director of curriculum, but they have an assistant superintendent who really does what I do and does a little bit of the human resources side as well. But a lot of districts, especially in Summit County, do have director of curriculum or director of curriculum and instruction or director of teaching and learning. You'll hear it called different things depending on the district. But generally, the pay scales would be starting roughly around 100,000 a year to maybe 120, sometimes even more, just depending on the size of the district and level of responsibility, for sure.
Is it like a ladder, like how teachers
there's a scale. Yes, exactly. Yes. So just like there's a teacher salary scale, and the teachers are moving up as they gain more experience, the same is true for there's a director pay scale as well. So, yeah.
All right. How much time do you spend working on your career outside of your normal day?
I love that question. I try very hard to have a healthy balance. So I try to leave work at home, or leave work at work, and be present and at home when I'm at home for my family. But that's not to say that if there is an email that comes through, I might respond to it. I also, even though I know it could wait till the next day, sometimes it's just, I can get it out of my inbox. Or especially if it's a quick answer or something, I don't mind responding to emails outside of the workday. The other thing, if I have a presentation that I need to do for the Board of Education or for an upcoming committee meeting, sometimes I'll work on that. Especially now that my kids are much older and I don't necessarily need to, they have their own lives, they're out and about all the time too, so I have a little more time on my hands too, so sometimes I will do that outside the day for sure.
Are you involved in any co-curricular activities as an advisor or a coach?
Not necessarily any kind of co-curricular advisory or coaching roles, but as I mentioned before, I chair many of the committees in the district. So, and I made a list of the committees that I do chair. So the local professional development committee, the teacher evaluation committee, we have pretty much a committee for just about everything we do. So, and this role, really, I need to be a part of all of those conversations because curriculum touches just about everything we do. We're in the business of educating our students, our kids. So I need to be a part of all of those conversations. So I spend a lot of time facilitating those committee meetings.
All right. Like I said, sounds very busy.
Yes, for sure.
How much work is involved in your position over the summer? I know you kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, so summer is actually my busiest time of year.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I'm developing my budget for moving into the next school year. So I have a budget that I need to work within, as everybody does, unfortunately.
Makes the world go round.
Isn't that the truth? So I have a budget that I need to develop. I also need to make sure that I've renewed all of the contracts for the resources that we use, that I have purchased any student resources that they will need to get the school year started, whether that be workbooks or anything like that our teachers would need to get the school year started. I also work on our meeting schedule for the upcoming year so that teachers have that when they arrive on their first day. They know when our meetings throughout the year will be. The other thing that summer is a busy hiring time as well, and I need to be a part of all of those interviews for potential candidates. So that's, as I mentioned before, that's really kind of the busiest time, is those summer months for sure, because we want to make sure we can hit the ground running when the teachers and the students come back. So.
Ooh.
Yep. A lot.
Dang, your summer making me just sweat. Like, oh dear, busy. Have you ever worked in a different school system?
Yes, so I started my career in Perry Local Schools in Massillon as a Title I teacher and an elementary teacher. I then got my first administrative position in 2009 in Tallmadge City Schools in Yorksville. I was there just for 1 year as an elementary principal, and then an opportunity arose here in Tallmadge as the Overdale principal. Back when Overdale was open, it was a kindergarten first grade building, so I became the principal there and have been in this district for 15 years. So ever since I was hired as the Overdale principal, and then ultimately the Dunbar principal, then the Dunbar and Monroe principal, and then the Tallmadge Elementary principal. We've had a lot of growth and a lot of change in the district. So, but yeah, I do have experience in 2 other districts.
All right. I know you said opportunity. If you want to elaborate, why did you choose this school district specifically? Did you hear of Tallmadge before?
Even being serving as a teacher in Perry Local Schools, which is in Stark County, I I was familiar with schools in Summit County and Tallmadge specifically. When this position opened, I felt, and I was always very selective in where I wanted to be because I knew it had to be a good fit for me and for the district. But Tallmadge is a unique and special place in my opinion, because it's a smaller community, but it's a close-knit community, and there's a lot of pride in our schools from our community. So I think that's why I've come here, and I've never had any interest in leaving because it is such a special place. We have amazing teachers and staff and just an amazing community, and our kids are amazing as well. So, and my own kids have come through Tallmadge as well, because I believe in the school system and I believe in this place. So yeah, it's pretty special to me.
Just a few more.
Yeah.
How many days of the week do you work?
So I work 5 days a week, and my time is a little bit different than, the teacher day. So I'm generally 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. 5 days per week. And then that can vary. For example, today I have a lead teacher. I meet with the district lead teachers after school today. So I'll meet with them from 3:45 to 4:45. So sometimes it can run past the 4 o'clock time because there are some committees that need to meet after school hours because teachers are a part of those committees. But there are some other committees that meet during the day with substitute coverage, so teachers can be a part of it as well. But I would say at least 3 or 4 days out of the month I'm working later. And then there's also monthly board meetings that I need to attend and present as well. So.
All right. And then how does this career affect your home life?
I mentioned before I tried to keep things separate and be present for my family. And I try to leave any stress that I might be feeling at the door when I walk into my home. So like I said, I can be present. But this position and any position, in my opinion, in a school district carries a lot of responsibility because we have a unique opportunity to make such an impact in the lives of our kids and our teachers. So, that's not to say inevitably that I don't think about work or a decision that I need to make or a conversation that I had with a teacher. It stays with me, but again, I try to leave it here and be present for my family too.
Best way to do it
right.
For any career.
Isn't that the truth? Yes.
All right. Well, we just ran out of questions, but do you have any for me at all?
No. Well, I would like to know what made you consider teaching as a career.
So for a long time it was not teaching at all. For a long time I was like, oh, what's about high school about? But the biggest thing is, so I want to be a cop and join the military, and it's too much bureaucracy in my opinion. And however, I do know there's bureaucracy in teaching. I feel like you can do a lot more good. I feel like there's no greater job than helping build the next generation. Or build is the wrong word, but help teach.
Yeah, absolutely.
And middle school, I had interesting time, and then in high school, I started getting to know my teachers more in asking questions about the career and stuff like that. And then people like our corner, the principal, now assistant principal when I started 2 years ago, he was like he was so happy and passionate about his job, and he still is. And like seeing that on so many teachers' faces, I started researching the career, and I was like, this is something I want to do.
Yeah.
And then when
that's
I
great.
found out the career program offered
Mm-hmm.
a teaching professions
Mhm.
opportunity, I
Yeah.
said, that's what I want to do.
That's great. I love that. And you would be hard pressed to find anyone more passionate about teaching than Mr. Mark Horner. He's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great.
Mr.
Well,
Horner
good.
is great.
He is, for sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
No more for the camera.